have refused to cooperate, and they've refused to even compromise. Speaker Boehner has failed to do his job, so now he's trying to stop the president from doing his. Joining me now are Congresswoman Jackie Speier, Democrat of California, who serves on the Oversight Committee, and Dana Milbank of the Washington Post, who wrote about that hearing last night that I want to discuss. Thank you both for being here.
Hi, Reverend.
Thank you.
Congresswoman, House Republicans may sue the president. What's your reaction?
I think that the Republicans have really lost it. I can't begin to tell you how preposterous this idea is. First of all, they can't independently sue the president. There has to be a bipartisan commission that would come together. You know, it's not like they haven't attempted this before. They attempted to have the president enforce the Defense of Marriage Act. They spent $2.3 million on legal fees, and then all of a sudden just dropped it. I'm sure they dropped it because their polling showed them that they were so far on the fringe that the American people weren't even buying it anymore.
Dana, you've been writing about this back and forth on executive actions for a while. What's your reaction to this?
Well, there was a time not too long ago when the Republicans were against activist judges and frivolous lawsuits. So it's certainly their right to take this through the court system. But it's a very difficult challenge, and one is just, will judges say that they have standing to sue the president? They tried to get around this by passing laws giving just the House the right to file these suits. Of course, the Senate hasn't gone along with that, and unless you have both houses of Congress on board here, it's a little bit questionable. But look, they've tried everything else. They tried repealing Obamacare. They lost in the 2012 election. They've tried defunding it. They've floated the idea of impeaching the president. This is about the only possibility left, so why not give it a try? You know,
but they've really tried a lot of things, Congresswoman, but clearly now here we come with this latest stuff, and I want to get to this scandal mongering by Chairman Issa, but the president's had to move forward with executive action because they've been so hung up on scandal mongering. It's not clear what the Republicans would target, but President Obama has issued executive actions on gun safety, gay rights, minimum wage, immigration, environment. I mean, he's had to move forward.
Well, and I think if you also look at the history books, you'll find that in terms of executive actions, President George Bush probably has the record for having issued more executive actions than President Obama.
A lot more.
I think that's important to point out as well.
No, there's a lot more. Let me go to Chairman Darrell Issa. I mean, his scandal mongering and bullying has been a big part of the GOP's lack of an agenda. Check out how he attacked the IRS commissioner last night, Dana.
Would you please rise to take the oath and raise your right hand? A little higher. Thank you. Frankly, I'm sick and tired of your game playing in response to congressional oversight. We have a problem with you, and you have a problem with maintaining your credibility. I asked a question.
And I answered it. We are going to provide you 24,000 emails from the time.
My time has expired, and I've lost my patience with you.
Oh, then before you respond, Dana, Congresswoman, you were there. You were part of the panel. I mean, was it as ugly as it appears? And how did your colleagues respond to this?
Actually, it was uglier. A number of Republican members who then started attacking the commissioner, wouldn't let him finish his answers, would cut him off, were, for all intents and purposes, saying that he was obstructing justice. And at one point, I actually called on the chairman to recognize that the rules of that committee required him to retain order and decorum, and cited the section so that he could refresh his memory. This is harmful not just to the committee but the entire institution when we have witnesses who come before us and they aren't treated with respect. Even Speaker Boehner this morning, in a question and answer setting, said that it's important for Congress to respect the witnesses that come before it and to treat them appropriately. That was not happening last night.
Now, Dana, in your article today, you wrote that, quote, the bullying was vintage Issa. and that he used, quote, frequent interruption of colleagues to inject his thoughts, parliamentary arguments with Democrats, and takings of personal umbrage. You argue these hearings are more about Issa himself than about investigations, Dana.
Yeah, and I think everybody seems to agree, I'm sure the Congresswoman agree, that they're not happy with what they've seen happen at the IRS, and it takes a lot to get people to feel really sympathetic towards the IRS, but Darrell Issa seems uniquely qualified to make that happen. And this has happened over and over again with his investigations, and he's disqualifying his committee. It happened with Benghazi. That's why things were handed over to this new select committee. And it's happening here, where he's in some competition with the Ways and Means Committee to see who can be the toughest on the commissioner. So Issa invariably starts out with some kernel of an investigation, then it develops very quickly into this sort of a farce that discredits the whole issue.
Congresswoman, you said a little while ago that they've lost it, they being the Republicans. They're talking about suing now, Speaker Boehner going forward. Is the behavior of Chairman Issa indicative of what you're talking about they losing it? Because this seems kind of extreme and way over the top.
Well, it is extreme and way over the top. I mean, the American people have made it real clear. They want to see some action out of Congress. This is the most do-nothing Congress in the history of this country. Bills that have come over from the Senate side languish in the House because there's an unwillingness for the membership of the House Republican caucus to take these measures up, whether it is marketplace fairness or immigration. I mean, you name it, they have just basically buried every one of the efforts that have been successful in a bipartisan fashion on the Senate side.
Well, if they go forward with this suit, this would be outrageous. Even for this Congress, this would be outrageous. Congresswoman Jackie Speier and Dana Milbank, thank you both for your time tonight.
Thanks, Robert.